Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about a fascinating topic: how mainstream programming languages have evolved from 1960 to 2025. Over these 6+ decades, different programming languages have risen and fallen, some disappearing quickly, while others have remained in active use for decades. You might be surprised to learn that many languages we now consider old are still quietly running critical systems today. Every language carries the imprint of its era and often has interesting stories behind it. Let's start with the 1960s. Back then, computers were extremely expensive and mainly accessible to research institutions, government agencies, and large corporations. One of the most popular languages was Fortran, the first true high-level programming language, primarily used for scientific computing. Many physicists and mathematicians wrote simulation programs. Alongside Fortran, COBOL emerged as a language for business and finance systems. Its syntax resembled English sentences, which made it verbose, but it allowed business professionals with no programming experience to read and understand code. Interestingly, even today, many banks and insurance companies still use COBOL, and specialized COBOL recruitment continues each year. A 60-year-old language still guarding your bank account. Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Moving on to the 1970s, programmers began seeking clearer, more structured ways to code. The most representative language of this era was C. It provided low-level access while being far friendlier than assembly language. The Unix operating system was later rewritten in C, a decision that cemented C's role as a cornerstone of programming. At the same time, Pascal became popular as a teaching language in universities, emphasizing structured programming and cultivating good programming habits. Back then, debates over whether C or Pascal was better were intense. In the 1980s, as personal computers became widespread, a new direction in programming emerged: object-oriented programming. C++ appeared in this context, building on C by introducing classes and objects for clearer program structure. It was loved and hated in equal measure, but it quickly became the go-to language for games, desktop software, and operating system development. The 1990s saw the explosion of the internet, completely reshaping the programming landscape. Java, launched in 1995, promised write once, run anywhere, although later jokingly described as write once, debug everywhere. It solved the problem of cross-platform compatibility and soon became a core language for enterprise software. Meanwhile, Python, introduced in 1991, featured a simple syntax that read like pseudocode. Though not mainstream at the time, it quietly gathered a loyal following. The internet also gave rise to PHP and JavaScript. PHP became the backend language for many early dynamic websites, while JavaScript, initially a small scripting tool for. The 1990s saw the explosion of the internet, completely reshaping the programming landscape. Java, launched in 1995, promised write once, run anywhere, although later jokingly described as write once, debug everywhere. It solved the problem of cross-platform compatibility and soon became a core language for enterprise software. Meanwhile, Python, introduced in 1991, featured a simple syntax that read like pseudocode. Though not mainstream at the time, it quietly gathered a loyal following. The internet also gave rise to PHP and JavaScript. PHP became the backend language for many early dynamic websites, while JavaScript, initially a small scripting tool for adding interactivity to web pages, was created in just 10 days. Who would have thought it would eventually become the backbone of front-end development and the entire modern web? In the 2000s, the open source movement and vibrant online communities accelerated the spread of new languages. Microsoft launched C#, which thrived on the .NET platform. Ruby, thanks to Ruby on Rails, became globally popular, especially among startups seeking fast and enjoyable web development. Python also grew rapidly, expanding from research and education to automation and data processing. Programmers for the first time experienced how fast programming language trends could rise and fall. Learning a new language could be as addictive as following a hit TV show. The 2010s can be considered a boom period for programming languages. The rise of mobile internet and artificial intelligence led to a surge of new languages. Apple introduced Swift, which almost overnight replaced Objective-C as the main language for iOS development. Google released Go, prized for its simplicity and concurrency, quickly finding use in cloud services and microservices. Python exploded in popularity thanks to AI and deep learning. becoming essential for researchers and engineers. JavaScript's story became even more remarkable. Node.js brought it to the server side, while React and Vue dominated front-end development. Despite often being called the language that drives you crazy, JavaScript is indispensable for both websites and apps. A fun fact, in Stack Overflow's annual surveys, JavaScript frequently appears simultaneously on the most loved and most dreaded lists, illustrating how developers both rely on and struggle with. In the 2020s, the pace of language development shifted again. On one hand, Rust rose to prominence, combining high performance with memory safety, and is seen as a potential successor to C++. Increasingly, major companies use Rust in critical components like browser engines and system modules. On the other hand, AI programming assistants change the relationship between humans and code. Tools like GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT allow developers to generate code using natural language, meaning that in the future, we may care less about which language is most popular, and more about the most efficient way to convey our ideas to AI and let implement them. Programming languages are evolving from mere tools into bridges between humans and machines. Looking back over these 60-plus years, programming languages reflect the eras they emerged from. Fortran and COBOL of the 1960s show computers' early focus on science and business. C and Pascal of the 1970s demonstrate the rise of structured thinking. C++ in the 1980s brought object-oriented programming into reality. Java, Python, PHP, and JavaScript of the 1990s accompanied the internet's expansion. C#, Ruby, Go, and Swift in the 21st century arose from needs for applications, efficiency, and platform compatibility. And recent developments like Rust and AI programming assistants hint at a new stage of human-machine collaboration. Some languages are evergreen. C, for example, has been active in system programming since the 1970s. Others, though no longer mainstream, persist in specialized domains like COBOL and banking. Some were short-lived, but left a lasting impact on the evolution of programming. By 2025, many developers may no longer debate which language is best, because what truly matters is how efficiently we solve problems and create new applications. So, the story of programming languages is far from over. New syntax and paradigms may emerge, and AI may increasingly generate code for us. But no matter what, the history from 1960 to 2025 shows how humans and computers have gradually learned to understand each other, and this journey is still continuing.